Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Shumi Hawashai, Shemakakwadash. And I want to say Shalom, Yagmanakwa out there, doing this true diligence. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This one I don't have a title for, all right, but Lord willing, we'll have one either throughout the lesson or in post. But actually, I might have a working title. What did I title it as? My note. It's just titled "The Different Roles of Men and Women." So yeah, not really a title, but that's what we're talking about: the different roles of men and women today, and how we're different. All right, but we each have our own purpose, and neither of us are useless. Okay, and so this should be edifying to the ladies. This is one that the ladies will probably want to watch. All right, you brothers, if you want to show it to your lady, you can show it to your lady. But there's the idea that goes out quite often that especially with the young the new young women that come into the truth, and you might hear certain things and just immediately jump to the connotation that, oh, we hate women, all right, or that one of these other things, that's what they like to say, they hate women, or they objectify women, or they all these feministic terms that they talk about, right? And part of what we do in this truth, all right, as men and women, all right, is we don't follow after the world, all right, we don't subscribe to worldly ideals, okay? If we did, we'd be walking around as men with painted nails on, with a little boo boo on our fucking side, wearing a skirt. All right, if we followed the ideals of this world, we don't subscribe to the philosophies, the ideals, all right, the trends, and the mindsets. All right, going back to ideals of these people of the world. All right, that the world tells you to believe. All right, because people aren't jumping to the conclusion themselves; they're told what to think. All right, and they're told what to like, and told how to act. All right, and told how a man and woman should be, just as the Bible tells us. But you're told from a left-hand standpoint, all right? Left, being equated to wickedness, okay? So you're being told from a left hand all these things, and you believe those without any explanation or real reasoning behind it. You're just told those fundamentally. This is how it should be, and you run with that, right? So when you find out about the truth, all right, someone tells you about the truth, and you have a scoffing, mocking spirit on you, or you're just a heretical in general, you're going to say, no, that's not the way it should be. This is the way it should be, all right? Well, that goes with anything, okay? We can say, no, that's not the way that should be, okay? But only one person can be right, all right? And the Bible, all right, is written biblical fact, all right, it's fact, it's of the time, it's existed a lot longer, all right, than the ideals of the people of this world today, okay? It's existed a lot longer. So this was the normal, all right, before the new normal came along, okay? This was acceptable for what's now known as acceptable, okay? For thousands of years, okay? And you choose to believe a relatively new mindset and accept that as, oh, this is rightful and true, all right? Over something that's been established over 1,000-year period that has been subscribed and understood. You go with the new mindset. Here it is. Everyone's known that jumping on hot coals will burn your feet. You're now subscribed to a new idea that no, it doesn't burn your feet. It just makes it feel like it's burning your feet, and you ran with that instead of what's been known for years. Well, just because it's been known for years doesn't mean it's right. All right. Well, that's your opinion, man. That's just like your opinion, man. So what we're getting in today is that a lot of women are really misled by other women that have heard about the truth, or knew somebody that was in the truth in some capacity, and say, oh girl, don't join them, they're a bunch of chauvinists, or they're a bunch of this, they're a bunch of that, they're a bunch of they hate women. If we hated women, we'd be gay. All right, that's usually what happens if you hate women. All right, we would be gay. We wouldn't want to be around women. We wouldn't want to sleep with women. We wouldn't want to hear women speak. We wouldn't want nothing to do with women at all. All right, we wouldn't even want them in our life. All right, that's not us. All right, we like women, but we want women to behave accordingly as men should behave accordingly. All right, there's a way that a woman should act, and there's a way that a man should act. All right, you're always getting on women. We get on men every single day. all right, every single day. But when anything is targeted towards, the female, they flip out, all right, and that's because the mindset, the Babylonian mindset that's been put on these women, and that has been, pushed for them to adapt and to, blend into, is really just a sickness. Okay, they don't understand it, and that's what we're doing today, is talking about, differences, but we each have our purpose, all right, and that we're different, but we work together. And that's why I have this picture of a plug and a socket, right? A plug and a socket, right? So you have a plug and you have a socket, okay? You have this great technology, right? A desktop computer, right? But it can't work unless it's got power, all right? And you got power, something that's great, and it can't work. What's its purpose, right? If it doesn't have an appliance to power, okay? These are two things that are good and great on their own, all right? But they combine into something better, okay? Women are great on their own. Men are great on their own. And yes, men are over women. So yes, we are greater in a status, all right? But just because steak is better than chicken, or chicken is better than steak, depending on what you like. I like steak better, all right? Depending on what it's on, but steak is good. Just expensive as hell. If I like steak, it doesn't mean that I don't like chicken. It doesn't make chicken bad, all right? It doesn't make chicken worthy of being thrown in the garbage. It doesn't make chicken a piece of shit. It doesn't mean any of that, all right? It just means it's not on quite the same level as the steak, okay? But you can, combine, all right? Have a little platter with steak and a little bit of chicken and some cheese, and you can have a really good meal out of that. All right, and you'd probably like it better than just having any of those things on its own. You like it's a little charcuterie board or something. I don't know. You come up with something, and that's how this is. But they try to make it an us versus them, and that's not how it is. Okay, the fact of the matter is that yes, women are over. That's Satan. Men are over women. All right, and you can go and get that, but at the same time, Yahweh Shemi Shai is over us, all right? The one who the world would ignorantly call God, and his son you would call Jesus Christ. The father is Yahweh. That's his true biblical Hebrew name. And the son's name is Yahweh Shai. That's his true biblical Hebrew name. So that doesn't make us pieces of shit that ain't worth nothing, all right? The Lord created us for a reason. We're just not on the Lord's level, all right? And it's the same thing. Yahweh Shai isn't on the same exact power level as Yahweh, all right, but that doesn't mean that he's not powerful. That doesn't mean he's worthless. All right, there is an order. There's a natural order of things, okay? And you have to have natural order, all right? For a matter of fact, the first scripture that I'm going to get is let everything be done decently and in order. 1 Corinthians 14:40. It says, let all things be done decently and in order. Okay, let all things be done decently and in order. So we can get the man is the head. You can go and get 1 Corinthians 11:3. And we'll start from 1. All right, because this has another point in here that we're also going to grab as well. That we're different, all right? But at the end of the day, we have our differences, right? And that's normal to have your differences, all right? A plant. All right, plants are different from each other. All right, a dandelion is different than a rose. A rose is different than a daffodil. A daffodil is different than a hydrangea. A hydrangea is different than, so on and so forth. All right, plants are different. It doesn't make any of them, bad. It doesn't make them useless. All right, they all have their use, but they're different. They're all different. Okay, so 1 Corinthians 11:1. Be ye followers of me, even as I am of Hamashiach. All right, or people would say Christ. All right, the real term would be Hamashiach. It says in verse 2, now I praise ye, brethren, that ye remember me in all things and keep the ordinance as I delivered them to you. Why? Because we are subject, all right, to the Lord. Verse 3, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is Yahweh. So if you go and we can go and get paint, all right, open paint up, all right. So you have a simple order, all right. It goes Yahweh fuck it, let me make this bigger. We'll go up to like probably 40 point. Okay. So you have Yahweh. Bold. Boom. Alright, you're gonna have Yahweh. Okay. Then you're gonna have Yahweh Shai. Okay. Then you're gonna have man. Then you're gonna have woman. Alright. Now it doesn't mention in the scripture, but by definition, by order, alright, the only person that would be under a woman is a child. Okay, so this would be the correct order. Okay, so and then you can go and make it easier for myself. Right, boom, bam. So this is the correct order. All right, Yahweh over Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Shai over man, man over woman, woman over child. Okay, that's the correct order of things. Okay, at no point in time should this ever, all right, be infringed upon. Okay, you wouldn't want a man putting himself over the Lord, all right, or thinking that he's God, all right, as you would say, the power, all right, Yahweh. You wouldn't want, Esau tries to do that. The so-called white man, he tries to put himself, he tries to put himself. Get over here. Esau tries to go and put him up here and then X out all everybody else. All right, and that's not the case. All right, you can't have a woman putting herself over man and then a man putting himself over woman, and then on top of that, you have a woman putting themselves over a man, a child putting himself over a man, all right, or herself, all right. This little kid, fuck you, Dad, right? You can't have that, all right. And these, all right, let me actually get let me get this, all right. These ones down here on the bottom, all right, are the only ones that break this order. Okay, these are the only ones that break the order. At no point does Yahweh Shai try to put himself above the Father. Okay, he never does that. Okay, and Yahweh would never put himself under the Son. Okay, but woman will put herself over man. Man will put himself under woman. All right, child to go both ways. All right, and try to be better than their father and mother. All right, and that's not the correct order. All right, it's all about order. Okay, matter of fact, let's get the definition of order. Define order. Okay, order.
Order.
Okay, order. Let's see, a sequence. What is the meaning of order in the Bible? Divine arrangement, structure, and harmony established by Yahweh in creation, the church, and daily life, reflecting his will and purpose. All right, the prop right here, it says it encompasses aspects like the proper sequence of events, methodical organization, submission to divine commands, and the presence of harmony. Okay, and what is harmony? Okay, define harmony. All right, that's the state of being able to get along one another. Okay, harmony, the combination of, well, that's dealing with, music. Right here, agreement. All right, in internal calm, tranquility. What is tranquility? State of being tranquil. What is tranquil? Free from agitation of mind or spirit and free of disturbance and turmoil. So if we could keep the proper order, okay, over here, if we could keep the proper order, well, I closed out of it, but if we could keep the proper order, all right, let everything be done decently in order, then we would be, all right, in a harmonious situation. But nobody can keep the order, all right, not even men, all right. Understand that, women? Yes, not even men can keep that harmonious order, because you have men doing all sorts of things, all right, doing things that are completely out of order, smoking and stealing and doing drugs and lying and killing, and that's not the matter that a man should be either. But at the same time, the women are doing the feminism and they're all these other stuff, men and women both being homosexuals and all these different things like that, and arguing and be argumentative and thinking they're over a man, right? Doing all these different things that are destroying them. All right, men destroy themselves, women destroy themselves. But when we talk about women destroying themselves, we're the bad guys. We're pieces of shit. We're evil, right? And you'll say, oh, we're chauvinistic. Now, what is a chauvinist? All right, a chauvinist, it says, is a person displaying excessive prejudice, support for their own cause or group, a particular man prejudiced against women. Now, what is a prejudice? All right, what does prejudice mean? Okay, prejudice, having or showing a dislike or distrust. All right, we don't dislike women. All right, now we don't necessarily trust women. All right, you have to, trust is earned and not given. Okay, but no, and it goes back to, Eve in the garden, right? But there's a reason for that. All right, so that's a chauvinist. But they'll say a bigot or a male chauvinistic pig, MCP or whatever. They'll try to say, well, a chauvinist isn't by definition. They say a chauvinist is someone who holds an unreasonable belief in superiority of their own group of country, gender, or race. And it's not an unreasonable belief what we have. All right, it is, the Lord said it. All right, that the man is over the woman. All right, so that's not unreasonable. Okay, 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is Yahweh. So that's not unreasonable. All right, it's not unreasonable to think that Yahweh is over Yahweh Shai. That's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable to think that Yahweh Shai, really no. All right, I'm saying think on these things, but it's not unreasonable to know that Yahweh Shai is over man. Okay, so why is it unreasonable to say that man is over woman? All right, we should all be following the order that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai set, but it's unreasonable. It's not unreasonable for Yahweh to be over Yahweh Shai. It's not unreasonable for Yahweh Shai to be over man. But for some reason, it's not unreasonable for a woman to be over a child or a man to be over a child. But for some reason, it's unreasonable for a man to be put over a woman. Why is that? Why is that? Because that's a manufactured belief system that's been fed into the head of the Babylonian woman. And it's really a destructive way of thought, because while you women should be helping your man and your man should be helping you to build a foundation together, to build something together, they have set you against the man, all right, to have them come at his neck and destroy anything that he would have had build that would inherently benefit you. All right? Here it is. This man's trying to build here it is. There's a train that's coming, and he's trying to untie you, all right? Because this train's coming and it's gonna roll over you, and you're saying, "Fuck you! I don't need a man." What you think I just don't need a man? All right, you think I need a man? You think I just need a man? I can get myself out of the situation. And say, "Well, I'm just trying to help you. I don't need any help." And then they would much rather you step back and let that train roll over them, and make it to make them deceased. All right, instead of just having a man's help, because they could be independent. Well, remember, independent means alone. So everything you do, you have to do it on your own, alone. You can never ask for a man's help. You should not get paid by a man. Nothing. You should be having a female employer. All right, your clothes should be made by females. Your food should be cooked by females. Your food should be harvested by females and planted by females and watered by females. Right? If you're truly going to be an independent woman, if you're going to be independent aside from man, then you should have no help from men at all. We don't say that we have no help from women at all. We have a lot of help from women, all right? The cooking, the tailoring of the clothes, all right? And it's all biblical. We had a lot of help from women. But women, biblically, you needed a lot of help from men, all right? We're a team, all right? We're on the same team, all right? I'm not the Chiefs and you're the Eagles, all right? That was fucking terrible today, all right? I'm not the Chiefs and you're the Eagles, all right? We're both on the Chiefs, all right? And if we win together. If we fail together. That's how it works, man, all right? That's how it works. That's how a team works, all right? So if you're, if you do something in a house as a woman that causes the house to get lost, you lost a house, I lost a house. We lost as a team. All right? You failed us both. All right? It's the same thing. If I do something that's ridiculous, all right, and cause something to happen, then I failed the team. We're not on opposite teams. We're on the same team. But you women have been taught that you're on the opposite side of the team and that you're playing against the man. So here it is. You're constantly having battles in the house. You're constantly having fights, disagreements. All right, and if you're not having full-on fights, you're having bickering and small disagreements. All right, at a constant rate, and it's most everly present with the so-called black female. All right, that's been lied to and manipulated the most. All right, by the Edomite man, the white man, and the white woman. All right, to make you out to be some type of horrible barbaric beast. And you black women, all right, you need to see that as you try to say, oh, the black man always trying to hold us down, and all the men, they just think about this, and all these white mothers. Look, you need to understand that the way that you're acting is actively destroying you, and you Latinas as well. All right, and that goes for you Native American, when you so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans. All right, who we are, all right, the so-called Negroes, Latino, and Native Americans. We are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. We are the Lord's chosen people, the only people that the Lord is dealing with. Okay, but you need to understand that the Latino man is looking at the black woman, looking down at the black woman. The Native American man is looking down at the black woman. The Latino woman is looking down at the black woman. The Native American woman is looking down at the black woman. The Indian, all right, now I've named all the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the Israelites, all right, but now moving on from the Israelites, all the heathens, the white man's looking down on you, the Indian man's looking down on you, the African man's looking down on you, the Arab man is looking down on you. And why is that? Is it just and you always say, oh, the black man? Well, all nations of men are looking down on you, whether they're Israelite or heathen, are looking down on you. And why is that? It's because your actions. It's not about who you are at a core. It's about your actions, and those actions have been put onto you by the so-called white man when he set all these little agreements up, all these little things up, all the music, all right, the things like all the welfare where you had to have the man out of the house and all these different things and child support. He set all these things up to put you at variance against the man, all right, so you could destroy yourself. And look at the destroyed state that you're in. Now you're the least desirable. I would be pissed as fuck if I were you. I wouldn't be arguing about this. I'd be trying to figure out how to fix this situation. All right, and because there's plenty of great black women out there, all right, but there's plenty of destroyed black women that are just sick in the mind. All right, oh, I don't need no goddamn man, you motherfucker. Oh, you talk about women. You don't even need to talk about the black man. You don't need to talk about the black woman. You hate black women. I love black women. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're off some dumbass shit that they put in your mind. They've put you in a zero accountability spirit, all right, that you have, because you don't want to take accountability and understand, all right? We love black women at the end of the day. We just don't like how you act, all right? No one's going to deny that the black woman's the most beautiful woman, all right? And that when they love you, they'll love you better than any other woman in the world when they actually truly love you. But the fact of the matter is there's a fucking attitude issue that's going on with that side of our people, all right, that needs to be fixed, all right? And unfortunately, it's only going to be fixed in the kingdom because it's that deep. The sickness runs that deep. The poison runs that deep. And no one hates you, all right? We hate the way you act, all right? For example, if I'm trying, it's not that you're hated for who you are, it's that you're hated for how you are, right? Other than the nations. Of course, the nations hate us too because we're so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They just hate us for who we are. But the Latinos, the Native Americans, we don't hate you for who you are. We hate you for how you are because you're our people. We're not going to hate you because you're our people. All right. Oh, you're a Negro. All right. Well, we're Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So we're not going to hate you for that reason. We're going to hate you for how you are, not who you are. Okay. You're not, you act a type of way, but you're not a type of way. Okay. And that's that sickness of the mind, man. And they put that on you. And they say, oh, they put that, it's always the black woman against the black man. All right. But then they have you run over to a white man so you can bring forth the seed of an enemy. All right, so you can go ahead and bring forth the seed of an Edomite devil, all right, and make little chocolate-covered tears, okay? And that's what they want. They want you to be completely destroyed, all right? Bear with me. I thought I had to use some of my nose stuff, but yeah, man, it's you should be pissed as fuck, all right? If I was a woman in this day and age, all right, waking up to the fact that I'm a Hebrew Israelite, all right, or because that's the only time you're really even gonna get the knowledge, all right, it's through Yahweh Shem Yahushai, I would be pissed as fuck. I would be. And you're saying, oh, you saying that now? No, if I was a woman, I would be pissed. You want to know why I'd be pissed? Because there has been so many psyops and operations ran, and generic, all operations, psychological operations, that's what psyop stands for, that have been ran on the so-called black female from the fact of the matter of hating who you are, hating your skin color, hating your hair, hating your eye color, hating everything, all right? Hating everything, okay? And hating your culture, all right? Or your true culture. And it's unsuperior to be black. You'd much rather, white women are better than you. White women have better hair. White women have better genes. White women have better bodies. White women this, white women that. I would be pissed that they've lied to that. And then, and part of that is they've done all that. And then they ran all of the things on you to say, that black men are nothing, black men are shit, on this, and they put you at variance against your own people, and really, that's why you're in the state with no money and, sometimes no job and child support and all these situations, in a bad situation, when you could be in such a better situation if you were building with a man. I would be pissed. I would be pissed to understand and learn that. All right, that psyop had been ran out. I'd be more pissed at the Edomites. I'd say, what the fuck? These devils, these motherfucking devils, really run it deep, and that's why we're so pissed at these devils, because they've done everything. Right? They've done everything. Anything wicked that you can think of, these devils have done, and they've done it towards our people. Okay? So the fact of the matter is, we don't hate women. We love women. All right? But you're not acting accordingly. And a lot of the righteous women think that the men aren't acting accordingly. And guess what? You know what? They would be right. All right? Those women would be right. And you a simp. You a simp ass motherfucker. No, because you're over here selling fucking dope. All right? You're over here, hitting licks, running fucking strikers, busting into people's cars and taking them and shit. All right, wanting to be a rapper. All right, saying, I'm a YN. I'm a YN. I ain't no Israelite. I'm a YN. I'm a YN. Yeah, for real, huh? Like, no, no, they'd be right that you're a piece of shit, because you are a piece of shit. All right, but in the same fact, when the guys that are righteous say these women are pieces of shit, they're right too. You're a piece of shit. All right, so if you're not a righteous woman or man of the Lord, then you're just a piece of shit. All right, at the end of the day. All right, we were once there. We were once all pieces of shits. Everyone in this truth was once a piece of shit. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Everyone that was in this truth. And you're saying, well, that's a little crazy thing. Before we were in this truth, we would consider ourselves pieces of shit. All right? By definition of what I was back in the world before I was here, I was a piece of shit, right? Smoking weed all the time, in and out of a job, right? Wanting to party, all right? Not doing nothing, laying, just not, just even more shit. I'm not going to air out all my laundry. But just, just being a piece of shit. Some people are selling dope. Some people were, running with drugs. All right. Some people were, doing all a host of things. Right. We would consider that. That's a piece of shit, man. That's a thug. All right. Stupid ass, 2/3 ass ninja. That's what we'd say. Right. So by definition, all of us were a piece of shit. All right. And if you don't think, I wasn't a piece of shit, well, then this might not be for you. All right. You might not have put off the old man and put on the new. The reason we put off that old man is because he was a piece of shit. We're not pieces of shits now. All right. But we were. We're recovering pieces of shits. And we gotta try our hardest to keep that same piece of shit from coming back and saying anything. All right. And trying to overthrow the man that we are now, or the woman that we are today, right? So yeah, man. So let's get a couple more scriptures. A lot of explaining, 27 minutes of explaining, some scriptures in there still, but I'd like to get more. But you got to realize the fundamental reason that you were created, Genesis 2:18, and the Lord Yahweh said, it is not good that a man should be alone. Not good that a man should be alone. Why? Because we don't work as good as alone. We need help. And it says, I will make an help meet for him. So you were the help meet. You were the help. Okay? So you can't have a plug without a socket. Matter of fact, I have a whole thing up on ChatGPT of things that work on their own, but they work better together. Okay? Let's go get some. So, what does it say? Everyday stuff, pen and paper. All right? A pen can do a lot by its own. Paper can do some things, but they're really only fully to the power. And that's really not the best one, pen and paper, but the next one, salt and pepper. You can use salt, you can use pepper, but it's best to have salt and pepper, right? Salt's good by itself, pepper's good by itself, but wouldn't you rather have salt and pepper? Fork and knife. Sure, you can do a lot of things. You can take that fork, all right, and you can try to cut up a piece of steak, and you'll suffer along, but you'll get it done. And you can use that knife, and you can, cut that steak. All right, but then you got to stab it like a barbarian to get into your mouth. The same thing with a fork. You can get it once it's cut, but you need something to cut it. Same thing with the knife. All right, you'd much rather you can cut it, but you'd much rather have the fork to pick it up and eat off. So they work solo, but they need a lock and a key. All right, that one's not the best either. Socks and shoes. All right, you have socks, but that's only part of the protection. You need the shoes. All right, if you're wearing shoes without the socks, well, now you're gonna have you're gonna get blisters and shit on your feet. All right, computer and internet. Computer's great by itself. All right, but in this modern day age, you need to have the internet, right? So you see it, man. Lots of different things, man. Lots of different things. So fire and wood. Wood's great by itself. Fire's great by itself. But fire and wood, now you got something going. Now you got something going. All right, a tent and a sleeping bag. All right, You can have a sleeping bag, but you're out in the open. You can have a tent, but you ain't got nothing to sleep on. You'd much rather have the sleeping bag and the tent. Okay, so as the tent, we need our sleeping bag. All right, as the socket, we need our plug, or as the plug, really, because if you want to go by that, but really, we'd be the power. All right, you'd be more of the appliance, and don't take that as some type of way. So we'd be more akin to the socket that's connected to the main, right? Which would be how about Shemi Shai. So, but it doesn't make the appliance bad. All right, those appliances are great. All right, I like my computer, I like my mouse, I like all these things, but my mouse couldn't do its work without the computer. The computer couldn't do the work without its cord. The cord couldn't do the work without the power. All right, and so on and so forth. All right, there's an order. Okay, there is an order. Okay, so ideally we need our help. All right, we need our help. And that's, and yes, fundamentally we are different. Let me grab some differences to show you that we are different. A man shall not wear. All right, we can go get Deuteronomy 22:5. It says, a woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy power. There you go. So, you know, is a woman isn't supposed to be wearing a man's clothing. A man isn't supposed to be wearing a man isn't supposed to be wearing a woman's clothing, and a woman isn't supposed to be wearing a man's clothing. And you know, biblically, things were a little bit different. Now, you know, pants now they're kind of a unisex thing. Really, they're more masculine, but they're kind of a unisex thing now. But they're, you know, so there's situations where women might have to wear pants. All right, and jobs, khakis, and certain like that. And even, you know, I'm not going to say you're wicked because you wear them outside of the fact, because that's just, you know, that would be almost being over righteous, right? It's just the same thing. You're not going to be able to have your head covered 24/7 either, else they're going to start thinking, are you Muslim? You ain't Muslim? You a Hebrew Israelite? And they're going to start asking questions, all right? So just be smart with it, all right? Be smart with it. You'll even hear the apostles talk about, you know, those girls with the head wraps on. Just be smart with it, man. We can't be in our perfect scenario. It's just like the same thing that, yeah, we should be wearing fringes, but we, you know, if walking around with fringes at all time would make you a big ass target. And you know, I had a guy actually when I was at GameStop coming with a full fringe set. All right, not fringe t-shirt. He was actually wearing, I can't remember. I think he said Lions of Judah or something like that from where he was camped. Because I asked him, and the dude looked like a deer in headlights because he didn't know. See, you don't know who you're encountering. What if I had been CIA or FBI, all right, or some type of, you know, what if I had been something? Right? Now I know who you are, right? That's why you don't do that stuff, Jake. All right? But I was in this truth, and he came in with a garment, and he was trying to buy 2K, and I said, I think I said I might have said Shalom to him. I don't remember if I said Shalom, but I said what camp are you with? And he's like, what? I said what camp are you with? And he's like, Lion. I think he said Lions of Zion. Or Lion of Zion or something like that, Lions of Judah or something like that, you know, something like that. Never heard of him. I've looked him up, can't been able to find him. He probably gave me a fake name. Maybe not Lions of Judah, because I think that is another camp. But he was like Lions of Zion or Lion of Zion. Which I'm like, did you name your camp out of a Bob Marley song? I think he just gave me a fake name or something like that, and then he went on his way. But he looked shocked. All right, he looked shocked, and I was like, well, if you don't want people to ask or comment on it that might know, then don't. And I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he forgot that he had his garment on. All right, maybe he forgot he had his garment on. All right, I'll give him that. All right, perhaps, maybe. But either way, man, walking into a GameStop with fringes on is a whole garment, and like I'm not talking about fringe shirt, like a whole garment, like the brothers in GMS wear. All right, a whole garment. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll give him the guy the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it just slipped his mind somehow. He just got off of camp. He worked before camp. Went to camp. Got off. He's tired. I need to go grab 2K. Walked in, not realizing he still had the fringes on. I'll give the brother the benefit of the doubt. All right, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt being called brother too. But yeah, man. This is 1 Corinthians 11:5, and it says, "But every woman that prayeth or prophesy this is 1 Corinthians 11:4, and this is actually where we were supposed to continue off earlier, because of course up in 3 is where the scripture we just read, where, you know, the order. But 1 Corinthians 11:4 says, every man praying or prophesying having his head covered dishonoreth his head. So if we cover our head and pray, have a hat on, a snapback, Sakari, all right, what happened to Sakari? What's going on with them now? How'd that go? They weren't being orderly. What happened with that? All right, what happened to the pegged pundit? He's out there somewhere under some different, tagline now. But 1 Corinthians 11:4, every man praying or prophesying having his head covered dishonoreth his head. All right, when we're praying, we cannot have our head covered. When we're prophesying, preaching, teaching, we cannot have our head covered. Okay, get that? But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. That is even all one as if she were shaven. For if the woman not be covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. Okay, so there you go. And you can go, we can continue on with this one. It says, for a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of Yahweh, but the woman is the image. It's like the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. So there you go. And there's other things. A man can have multiple wives. A woman cannot have multiple husbands. Okay. But yeah, man. So we're gonna get one more scripture and then we're gonna close out. This is Proverbs 14:1. We're probably approaching the 40-ish minute mark, I'm assuming. But yeah, Proverbs 14:1. So the message to you, woman, is: look, build your house, don't destroy your house. All right, work with the team, don't go against the team. All right, with the grain, not against the grain. All right, Proverbs 14:1. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. Okay, so a foolish woman is gonna, destroy everything that the man built. All right, just off just the fact of the matter that I didn't need a man to do none of this, right? So it's it's ridiculous, and at the end of the day, well, let me get a couple more. We'd like to have our help. All right, so let's get Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 26:13. Let's get, it says, the grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. So, and we got to get Sirach 36:24. Come on now. That says, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. So a righteous woman to a man is a pillar of rest. All right, you can be our rest. We can confide, all right, in you, not like we can in you, how about Shemiah Shai, but you're something that we have that we can, you can talk to us and help us regulate certain things. All right, we help each other. All right, we're help to each other. We both help each other. You are technically our help. All right, but we help you as well just by you being our help. Okay, you benefit inherently. All right, and just by being there and help building us up, you reap the rewards inherently, right? So, and let's get Proverbs. All right, I'll get this one for you women. All right, so you can have a little booster throughout the day, right? So, at the end of the day, you are the weaker vessel. Sometimes you need a little bit more boosting. All right, and you men, we gotta be more patient with our women. Sometimes we're not. All right, but we gotta be more patient with our women because they are the weaker vessel. All right, they're gonna freak out about stuff that they shouldn't even be freaking out about. They're gonna be more prone to demonic attacks. All right, so if you can walk your woman through something, walk your woman through something. Don't just leave her. I mean, at the end of the day, if you love that woman, you're gonna help her. You're not gonna fucking just throw her to the wind, right? So Proverbs 31:10-12, it says, who can find a virtuous woman? That's a righteous woman, all right? One who is filled with virtues, all right, of rightness. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. You'd rather have her than some gold, right? The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. So you are supposed to be doing us good, not evil, right? And so at the same time, we're not supposed to be doing you evil. All right, we're not supposed to be being evil to each other. We're supposed to be being good to each other. All right, we're supposed to be working together as a team. All right, teamwork makes the dream work. Right, but you women, a lot of you women, not all, but a lot of you women just, well, I don't need no fucking man. I don't need this shit. And then you end up in a destroyed situation where you don't have no man, you don't have no money, you don't have no job, you barely have a house. All right, and it's a bad situation. Okay, and then a man, he's got to work all day. He doesn't have no one to cook. Doesn't have no one to clean. It's a bad situation for both of us. Wouldn't it be better to just get along and fucking have some help? Right? Proverbs 14:1, and then we're closing out. Every wise woman buildeth her house, helps a man, helps build the man. All right, helps him along so he can help her along. Right? But the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. Say, oh, I don't need to listen to you. You ain't my daddy. I don't need you. You need me. Blah blah, and all so on and so forth. That's a dumb way of thought, all right, and that's not going to get you anywhere, okay? So that's the lesson. That's what we're going to close out with. Lord, what was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Shimi Hawashai, Shimmer Kakwadash. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring. Keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing, shalom.